was living a lie. In the darkness, I was scared of the light. With no direction, I was running away. Step aside, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
I was brought into the back area of Dakota County, and I was confused. And I was saying, what's going on? And they said, well, what's your name? I said, well, you know my name. I was just out in the courtroom, and they said, are you, who do you think you are, Nelson Mandela? And were taunting me, and they said, look at all these prisoners behind the glass. They know what to do, and you don't know what to do. And they took my hairpiece, my glasses, my shoes, my jewelry, and they put a belt around my waist, and then they put me in handcuffs and handcuffed me to the belt around my waist. And then they put me in the cell. And, of course, I'm sitting in the cell, wondering what's going on, or standing there, and ultimately, they brought a wheelchair and brought me back into the courtroom to finish up the trial. And so I was wheeled back into the courtroom. Maybe it was about 3 o'clock, and the other attorney said, we rest our case. And the judge said, okay, well, I'll take the matter under advisement, and got off the bench. And then they wheeled me to the adjacent jail, and they kept me overnight. I was subjected to 7 of the 11 internationally recognized forms of torture. They did not give me a phone call and let me go around 5 o'clock. The media was there in the parking lot the whole time. And that's when I learned that can have a court trial, that machine, with no client, no mother, no missing children, and the attorney in handcuffs, then what kind of legal system do we actually have?
Why I'm in a wheelchair? Because they just brought a wheelchair. You'll see it in the video. I was sitting in the cell like this, and they just brought a wheelchair and put me in it.
So part of why, and it's usually the initial part on the first part of the circle when we get in, that's when a lot of the anger comes out. And then as it's repeated back and forth, a lot of that mud or that anger starts to go away, and they really start to get to pinpoint to the real issues of where they're going forward. But that's where, as a facilitator, it's their process, and it takes time. Sometimes they can get in until she's fully heard when she gets expressed. But that's why this process works, is because they fully are understood. There's nobody saying, oh, you got to wrap it up. We only have an hour before we have to have this mediated settlement. This is why they are fully heard, and then this is one of the steps that they get to talk. And we usually block off 3 hours, and sometimes it's so emotional that after 40 minutes, somebody's just like, I'm done. And as mediators and facilitators, you have to do a wellness check, make sure everybody's okay going forward. Sometimes a break is all that's needed, and they can get back into the conversation. Sometimes people say, no, I'm just done for the day. Yes.
I believe in the values approach. Do you not start with asking each participant what values will they bring into this meeting so it can be successful, or how they can show up?
You can do, if you do it, that's a good way to do it. That's a good way to start it. With high conflict like marriage stuff, they're going to bring in, and they do bring in values. So the cheating. They say, what was the other one? He said, I married you because of your loyalty. So it comes up in the circle, their values.
I just
They
feel
don't have
like
to state them, we're just listening for them.
I just feel like in this work and the work that I've done, if we go back to, like, let's remember what those values are that we're bringing into this meeting, so that honor and integrity continues to keep our finger on the pulse of that. And I'm just asking that just because I do this kind of work, and it's really helped me to remind people, like, who are we when we're at our best, and let's redirect that.
Yeah. That's awesome, we have them, we're facilitating them, so those will come up. They don't have to state them, but they don't know that that's their value between them. Because if you're sitting here saying, my value is loyalty, and the other one thinks you cheated on them, that isn't, so the values come up between them.
Or whatever.
And then it pops, oh, I was loyal to you, and then this happened. My value of loyalty was ruined. This happened. See, but if they're going to tell the other, they're talking to each other. So if they're going to, I'm so loyal, and you're going to say, you cheated on me, what do you mean you're loyal? They're not going to believe it. So the values come up. They all of them come up. Caring for kids, every single, the honoring the marriage, honoring the relationship. But that's just an excellent question, because we're not directing in that manner necessarily. But you might say, you know what, this is our third circle. Maybe I want to ask them, after the be still moment, what's coming up for you about your values, see? And then that's when they could say, my value is loyalty, and I'm really sorry I did this.
We usually let them direct the course because this is their issue. We always say we don't have a dog in the fight, so we're just listening, and when they can get stopped, we can move on to another subject that maybe is to keep communication going forward. So it's just certain things that they have, it's their issues. So we don't want to have them go in any particular direction. It's what's coming up for them, because this is what's been burning in them.
So I want to get to the next step, because the next step is very, very important, is agreed actions, okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, if we have time.
How do people get to your agency?
Okay. It's mostly by word of mouth, because we're, a small nonprofit, but we're all over the world right now, by word of mouth.
Zoom.
And it's hard because we're looking for funding, may get some from people here, but we don't have the funding like lawyers do, to advertise. Oh, come get your rights. We don't have that. But because we've been around for a while, I just had somebody call, I want to do your program. I want my husband to do my, and she left a message. I don't know who she is.
Well, they have to pay though.
Yes, they do. There's a fee. And the fee schedules is in your materials. It's $25 for the orientation, very important. And then $50 if they decide to participate. And then it's $175 an hour. And it's $75 an hour for the pre-circle. So they do pay, and Family Innocence gets a small piece of that, and the facilitators get the rest. So out of the $175, Family Innocence is $25. You get the $150. We have it different than you'll see, right? So when the funding comes in, what I'd like to do is pay our facilitators and also pay people to come. Because I think instead of paying the $400 filing fee and the thousands of dollars with attorneys, they'd have incentive to come. They're getting paid to come.
So then the next part after we were through here, we have what's called agreed actions. Now we sat in the community, we have an advocate just listening. We have the two participants, and then we have we usually have two facilitators. So then what we do is agreed actions. Okay, there's simple things that everybody's going to adhere to. So we had, process of here. So since it was Michelle's circle, we'd say, Michelle, what would you like to offer up for our next circle?
Well, I'd like to have another circle, because I haven't finished what I wanted to say. And so I'm requesting that you come meet with me again.
And as part of an agreed action, would you be willing?
So I have to say where I want to come.
Yes.
How about if I say I don't want to come?
you don't have to, it's all consent.
Yep, so an agreed action was Michelle wanted to have another circle, wanted to invite the judge, and the judge said, I'm not gonna attend the next one.
So I'm thinking the judge will say that.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's other things that we offer up that, other people, so like if in a typical divorce, okay, let's start bringing some financial paperwork. And then it's like, yes, I'm gonna do that. So those are other examples of agreed actions. And then another agreed action, okay, when will we meet? And we find when the people usually set up their first circle, they typically like that day. And we like to honor that day for them, and around that time, it seems that it fits in everybody's schedule. And as facilitators and advocates and the participants, it seems that, so we try to keep that same schedule.
There's always an agreed action, and the agreed action would be, something like this might be. I'll modify her, because, if the judge said he didn't want to come, me as the person might still want to proceed. I might want to do a pre-circle and talk about it with a substitute or something like that. But the facilitators always say, I agree to come. And do you want to grab that so we can write it out? I'm going to say, Your Honor, I'm requesting you think about it. I'm requesting you think about for about a week and not just say no right now.
Okay, think about it.
And you'll let me know in a week?
I'll let you know by Friday.
By Friday. So it's very specific. We're going to write out. He's going to think about coming back to circle and let us know, the facilitators, by Friday. We write it out. I'm also going to ask that I'm going to invite the sheriff, the lead one that arrested me, to the next circle. So I'm for purposes of an agreed action, I'm going to offer. See, that's a request was what I did to the judge. An offer is I'm going to offer.
I lost the agreed action.
Oh, that's okay. It's probably another thing. You can do it on any piece of paper. You don't need our form, which just says agreed actions. Today we agree to this. And yes.
For couples that are getting a divorce, you say you have two facilitators and the couple, and you always have an advocate?
Yeah, the advocate.
Pass it so I can see it. Just pass it so people can see it.
Most of the time, yeah. We try to have a man and a woman, so it might not necessarily be, I'm in the advocate role.
What does the advocate do?
The advocate kind of, they know about family innocence. You talked about word of mouth. Lori in the film, she had worked with family innocence, done her divorce through family innocence, and came and volunteered full-time. She quit her job to volunteer full-time. She thought we were doing such wonderful work.
These should have been on the
And
agreed
so I was her advocate, and then other mediators did. We would try to have a man and a woman from the perspective, and it's your community, and we're not. I don't call it neutral. I call it multi-partial. We love everybody in the room. Now, I don't necessarily love the judge right now. So the agreed actions are going to be very specific. You have people sign them. And then the last thing is the be still moment that we're all going to do. Because we do the agreed actions, and sometimes people have to leave or whatever, like happened here. But you try to remind them, and sometimes I'm reminded by the clients, we're going to do that be still moment. So what we're going to do is all of us will do another be still moment to close this session. But stick around a little bit because I'll answer any questions you want, and I want to give away that book, okay? So be still moment, listening exercise, peacemaking, dialogue, agreed actions, be still moment, that's how circles is done. With a million other things in between. She might want to offer as a facilitator, well, you're saying that your value is loyalty. Can you, maybe you want to explain that to the person. But remember, they're talking to each other. So you could say something like that. Well, I'm hearing loyalty. But the way Dominic Barter says is the facilitator very rarely, and it's in your materials, very rarely jumps in and says, well, what I'm hearing is he didn't cheat on you.
So I come from a different mindset. So when we were doing the exercise, this was my partner. I feel like it's the perfect time to say, what are the values that you heard from your partner because I feel like it just creates this sense of accountability. It creates this sense of permission not to blame or shame. I just feel like the values is what root us into showing up, being the best version of ourselves, and really sharing the gift of listening.
You're trying to fix stuff.
No. I'm trying to create a safe space for people to show up with an open heart, willingness to share the gift of listening, and to really own their shit. Because I don't think that I love, because I'm trained in mediation as well, but I just feel like when I can say, when I'm at my best, I'm respectful, and this is what it means to me. It gives people, it plants the seeds of healing already.
I think you can do that in this process very easily. You can, there's no right or wrong way. So if you're looking at it and say you want this, and you're the facilitator, you see this couple, you know very little about them. They've done maybe a little pre-circle. Remember, we're multi-partial. We're not, you're trying to have everybody value. So that might be something you do in the moment, right? Because you're in this moment with these two people or these three people or a whole bunch of people. So you don't want to say, I'm planning on doing this every time. Like sometimes what we'll do, we'll bring them back 2 or 3 weeks later and say, what did you hear the other person say? 3 weeks ago when we had the listening exercise, they don't remember. But they remember when their husband said he wanted to divorce them 7 years ago. You know what I mean? So then they go, oh, I don't remember. It was something about a car, or it was something about a judge doing something to you. So let's do the Be Still moment, and then whoever can sing the jingle. Or at least say the jingle. You don't have to sing it. I'll get a book, and I have more than one book, so. Okay, you have a question?
Oh, no, I got it right now.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, his Be Still moment, it was wonderful. I love the session. Tom, we're doing a Be Still. And that's something too. Sometimes you'll have this 5-step process and somebody say, I gotta just run. So, and sometimes it'll be the facilitator, but we still kind of stay, okay, bye, and we don't say, I gotta run too. Oh, I'm a facilitator, I gotta run too. Oh, we're gonna skip the Be Still moment because the circle, it's gonna continue. Like Lamont, his circle still affects him today. This is probably gonna affect me. Again, leading in the Be Still moment, take a few moments to say what's coming up for you about what just happened. What's coming up for you about the circle that you were just in and just participated in by watching? Because you were participants by watching the circle. What's coming up for you? Just take a little time and what's coming up for you is this was during the lunch break. So I did the cross-examination, then they put me in a cell like this during the after lunch, and then they gave me a lunch, and then they took me back out for the afternoon session. Then they kept me in an all-nights jail men's jail overnight and subjected me to 7 of the 11 internationally recognized forms of torture. So that's what's coming up for me. This is just a little piece of the story.
What's coming up for me is I'm very thankful for you guys to come in at 10. And we, like we said, we call it family innocence process. Because as you can see, the dialogue is a process. And even though, again, we don't have a dog in the fight, other than just to make sure that they're respecting each other, taking their turn, and keeping their dialogue moving forward, I'm just as drained. There's time when we're done with the 3 or 4 hours because we're intently listening just to help them move along. And it's draining to hear this high conflict. But that's why it works, is because they are fully heard and it takes time. So there's nobody rushing them. And they're in a community. They're not just trying to win over one mediator or one therapist. They're in a community, so that's why it works. They're fully heard by people who really care about keeping them out of court. And they fully get to talk in front of strangers and they feel safe because they're able to fully talk without being interrupted or without anger coming back at them immediately. The other person gets to have their chance to say their side. And so, again, that's how it works. And it's a process. It is a process. And sometimes even as a facilitator, like I said, it's our job to make sure that they're okay going forward. But sometimes you even need a break. Sometimes you say, okay, just a wellness check. How's everybody doing? Can we get a break for water, go to the bathroom, something like that. So, again, thank you. And it is a process. It takes a little time, but I appreciate you all.
I just want to say you can't be subpoenaed to a circle, right? And my favorite line, and if you're a mediator, you know this, where a judge says, or the other attorney says, take all the time you need in the next hour to settle the case. Okay? This is all the time you need. We're not rushing it. Maybe I'll have another circle with the judge, maybe I won't. And I did have a circle with this judge. And I could, anybody could,
What was the outcome?
I'll let you know, but let's finish the Be Still moment, and I'll answer questions afterwards.
Okay.
Restoration, that's what it was.
What's coming up for me is from 1998, when I started this process, to 24, I've seen a lot of different teachings and a lot of different ways that this is brought to the process. One of the things that they discussed yesterday on the panel was when people are released from prison, the support that they don't have. What happened to me was that my community not only did a circle in jail with me before I came home, but I did circle for a year after I came home. So I'm suggesting that if you have those that are loved ones or friends, that see if they're willing to do a circle when they come home for at least a decent amount of time, because that helped me. They helped me not go back to the community with the same mindset, because I had those people surrounded around me saying, hey, we're here for you. You don't have to go back out into the community and offend. So again, I've seen the process from many years in the prison, out on the streets. And one of the best things that happened to me was that after I got to the community, in the community, we did all these circles. Then I went to DOC and started training them on circles and how the process worked. So I'm excited to see where this has gone. Thank you, everybody, for coming in.
Okay, anyone else? This is as we exit the circle.
I think it's very necessary to have this type of alternative ways, because just sitting in family court, it's just awful. Just seeing, it's a very cookie cutter. It's not going to be in anybody's favor, really. At the end of the day, nobody wins. I was curious.
Okay. Anyone else coming up for you from the Be Still moment? Circle.
I love circle. I love what unpacks when you can create that safe space with one another. And I just believe in the process, but I do challenge, I do push, because we all have our different personalities and our different ways of showing up, and the way that I show up may be different, but it's non-judgmental and it's no shame, no blame. And so I do push a little bit, because I really believe that things work different for different people, and it's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else want to share what's coming up for you about what just happened? Okay, everybody, thank you so much. And remember, Family Innocence is a nonprofit dedicated to keeping families out of court. You have us in your materials, and we get calls from all over the country and the world, and we try to help whomever we can.